Welcome to Mind Set in Stone podcasts, where we dive deep into the most compelling books on the shelf. Join hosts Dave and Poppy as they uncover the stories, themes, and ideas that shape our understanding and inspire curiosity. Get ready to explore the big ideas that leave a lasting impact. Let's get started.
All right, let's dive into some serious brain power today. You folks have sent us a bunch of excerpts from Dr. Joseph Murphy's The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And I gotta say, this stuff is really fascinating.
Yeah, it's a classic for a reason.
We're talking book excerpts, audiobook snippets, the whole 9 yards.
It really dives into how our thoughts, they can actually shape our reality.
Okay, so the subconscious mind, powerful stuff.
And it all comes down to the power of the subconscious mind. That's the key.
What really struck me was how Murphy uses this analogy of water. Always finding its own level. It doesn't discriminate. It just flows where it needs to go.
Exactly. And that's the point he's making about our subconscious, right? It doesn't judge our thoughts. It doesn't say good or bad. It just accepts them as instructions.
Oh.
Like if you're constantly telling yourself, I'm not good with money, your subconscious might just take that and run with it, attract experiences that kind of reinforce that belief.
Whoa, that's kind of scary. So does that mean like if I start telling myself I'm a money magnet, I'll suddenly win the lottery?
Well, not quite that simple.
Oh, okay.
The subconscious, it works in subtle ways. Think of it more like planting seeds.
Okay.
You plant the seed of a belief, in this case, financial abundance, right? You nurture it with positive thoughts, positive actions, and over time, it can blossom into tangible results.
I see. So it's not just about the positive thinking, but it's about aligning our actions with those thoughts.
Precisely. It's a two-pronged approach.
Okay.
The inner work, you've got the thought, the belief, and then the outer work, the action, the manifestation.
Now, you mentioned this idea of the subconscious accepting instructions, but Murphy also talks about how different people react differently to this same suggestion.
Yeah.
Depending on their, pre-existing beliefs. Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. Think of it like this. You're on a ship, someone yells, "Shark!" Right? Some people might panic, others might be intrigued. It all depends on their relationship with sharks, right? What they already believe about sharks. So the same suggestion, totally different impact. Just depends on what's already swimming around in our subconscious.
Okay, so past experiences and ingrained beliefs really color how our subconscious interprets things.
Absolutely. And that brings us to this kind of a cautionary tale. Murphy shares this story about this man who jokingly told his son he would get sick. And then the son actually fell ill.
Oh, wow. That's kind of unsettling.
It's meant to highlight that the subconscious mind, it doesn't understand sarcasm, doesn't get humor. It takes everything literally.
Especially, I would imagine, in those whose subconscious is still forming, like children.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So even those seemingly harmless jokes, they can have unintended consequences if they tap into an existing fear or insecurity.
It makes you think twice about what you say, especially around kids.
Exactly. Words have power. It's a responsibility we should all take seriously.
Speaking of powerful words, Murphy also dives into this concept of scientific prayer. And honestly, this one kind of blew my mind.
Yeah. What's fascinating about his take on prayer is he frames it as like a direct line to your own subconscious.
Oh, interesting.
He argues that prayer, it works through this law of action and reaction. Your focused thoughts, beliefs, that's the action. And then the subconscious response, that's the reaction.
So instead of praying to this external force, you're essentially directing your intentions inwards.
Yeah.
Like harnessing that power within yourself.
Exactly. He even ties this back to the biblical concept of faith, suggesting that it's essentially just this deep-seated belief held in the subconscious.
Oh, okay.
So when someone prays for healing, right, with just this unshakable faith, they are, in a way, programming their subconscious for recovery.
He uses the example of a blind woman at Lourdes who regains her sight.
Mm-hmm.
And while she attributed it to the shrine, Murphy suggests her own unwavering belief was the real catalyst, that deep inner conviction.
Yeah, it's a powerful example of how belief can become a self-fulfilling prophecy when it takes root in the subconscious, even in something seemingly miraculous.
So it's less about miracles and more about tapping into this incredible power we all possess within ourselves.
Exactly. And that power, it can apply to all areas of life,
Mm-hmm.
from wealth and success to overcoming fear and finding love.
Yeah, this all sounds amazing, but it also feels a little overwhelming. Like, where do you even begin to tap into this subconscious power?
Well, Murphy, he offers several techniques, and one of the most fundamental is the practice of autosuggestion.
Okay, autosuggestion. That sounds interesting. Tell me more.
It's essentially the art of planting positive suggestions in the fertile ground of your subconscious mind, and you do this through affirmations.
Okay.
Positive statements that you just repeat to yourself consistently.
So if I want to be more confident, I could keep repeating, I am confident and capable.
Exactly. And the key is to phrase these affirmations in the present tense as if they are already true. This helps to kind of bypass any resistance from the conscious mind, the part that might be tempted to argue with your desired reality.
Oh, it's about convincing your mind that what you want is already a done deal.
Precisely. The more you repeat the affirmation with conviction, with feeling, the more deeply it's impressed upon that subconscious mind.
But what if I have trouble believing these affirmations? What if my mind keeps saying, yeah, right, this isn't working?
That's where understanding the duality of the mind comes in.
Okay.
Murphy uses all sorts of analogies to explain this interplay between the conscious and the subconscious mind, objective, subjective, waking, sleeping, male, female.
Yeah, I was a little confused by all the analogies. What's the core idea behind this duality?
He's essentially saying that while your conscious mind, that's the rational, analytical part of you, the subconscious, that operates on a deeper, more intuitive level. Okay.
It's more receptive to images, feelings, repeated suggestions.
So the key is to bypass the critical, analytical part of my mind and speak directly to the subconscious.
Exactly. And that's where techniques like visualization come in.
Okay.
Murphy talks about creating vivid mental pictures of the desired outcome, engaging all your senses, making it as real as possible.
So instead of just saying an affirmation, I should also try to visualize it, to actually see and feel myself experiencing the outcome I desire.
Precisely. The subconscious mind, it responds powerfully to imagery. So by creating this detailed mental movie of yourself, achieving your goal, you're essentially giving your subconscious a blueprint to work with.
This is starting to make a lot of sense.
Okay.
So it's not just about wishful thinking. It's about actively shaping our beliefs, impressing them on our subconscious mind through techniques like affirmations and visualization. Absolutely. And remember, the subconscious mind, it's always working, even when you're not consciously aware of it. It's like having this powerful engine running in the background, constantly influencing your thoughts, your feelings, your actions.
Okay, so we've got this powerful engine in our minds, but how do we make sure it's taking us where we want to go?
That's where Murphy's insights become truly transformative.
Okay.
He provides specific examples of how we can actually harness this power to achieve our goals in various areas of life, from finances, business, relationships, personal growth.
That's what I'm really interested in, the practical applications. So let's dive into some specific examples, shall we? Let's start with something that's on everyone's mind: wealth and success.
Excellent choice. Murphy argues that focusing our thoughts on abundance can actually attract wealth into our experience.
He talks about not criticizing money or those who have it, because that sends a message of rejection to the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, he suggests affirming positive statements about money and its circulation in our lives.
Yes, it's about shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Instead of seeing money as something to be feared or hoarded, you view it as a tool that can be used for good, a resource that flows freely and abundantly in your life.
He also shares the story of a young boy who manifested his medical diploma by constantly visualizing it and working towards his goal. It's like he planted that seed of his desire in his subconscious mind, and it grew into reality.
That's a great example of how visualization combined with consistent action can lead to remarkable results. By consistently immersing himself in his vision, he created a blueprint in his subconscious mind, which then attracted the resources, the opportunities he needed to make it a reality.
It sounds like the subconscious mind is a lot like a garden. You plant the seeds of your desires, nurture them with positive thoughts and actions, and watch them blossom into reality.
That's a beautiful analogy. And just like a garden, it requires consistent effort and attention. You can't just plant the seeds and forget about them. You got to water them, weed them, give them the sunlight they need to thrive.
So we need to tend to our mental garden with the same care and attention we give to our physical gardens.
Exactly. And that brings us to another fascinating aspect of Murphy's work, the role of the subconscious mind in business success.
Okay, business success. That's definitely something I'm interested in. What does Murphy have to say about that?
He suggests that we can use the power of the subconscious to enhance our business acumen.
Okay.
He shares these examples of a salesman visualizing closing a deal or a real estate agent affirming the right buyer being attracted to a property.
It's like giving ourselves a mental edge in any endeavor.
And it's not just wishful thinking. It's about aligning our thoughts and actions with our desired outcome.
So instead of just hoping for a sale, the salesman can actively visualize it happening, feel the emotions of success, and act as if the deal is already closed.
Exactly. By creating this vivid mental image of the desired outcome, he's impressing it upon his subconscious mind, which then works to align his actions, attract the necessary circumstances to make it a reality.
It reminds me of that story Murphy tells about the pharmacist who manifested his dream pharmacy by visualizing it in detail and acting as if he already owned it.
That pharmacist didn't just dream about his pharmacy, he lived it in his mind. He imagined every detail, the layout, the customers, the feeling of success, and his visualization ultimately became his reality.
It's inspiring to think that we all have that power within us. If we can clearly define what we want, focus our attention on it with unwavering belief, our subconscious mind will find a way to bring it to pass.
Now let's shift gears a bit and explore how this subconscious power can be applied to something a little more personal, relationships.
Relationships, that's a big one. What insights does Murphy offer in this area?
He talks about visualizing the ideal partner, affirming positive qualities to attract the right relationship, but he also cautions against unconscious patterns, things that can sabotage our efforts.
Like what kind of patterns?
He uses this example of a woman who unknowingly attracted submissive partners due to her own dominant personality. She hadn't examined her own subconscious beliefs, and she ended up replicating this pattern that wasn't serving her.
So it's not just about visualizing what we want in a partner, it's also about understanding our own subconscious patterns and making sure they align with our conscious desires.
Precisely. It's about becoming aware of any limiting beliefs or negative self-talk that might be influencing our choices in relationships. He also emphasizes focusing on desired qualities in a partner rather than trying to change them.
That's a crucial point. We can't control other people, but we can control our thoughts and beliefs about them.
And that brings us to another fascinating application of the subconscious mind, problem solving and guidance. Murphy suggests that by turning over a problem to our subconscious before sleep, we can often wake up with a solution.
He shares some pretty remarkable examples of this, like Professor Agassi's fossil fish vision and Dr. Banting's discovery of insulin.
In both cases, these individuals had been, consciously wrestling with this problem for a while. And when they finally surrendered it to their subconscious mind, the solution came to them, seemingly out of nowhere. It's like the subconscious mind works on things behind the scenes, even when we're not consciously aware of it.
And I've definitely had moments where I've struggled with a problem all day, only to have the answer pop into my head the next morning.
It's like having access to this vast inner library of knowledge and wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
All we need to do is learn how to access it.
Now, one final area I want to touch on before we move on is the challenge of overcoming fear. Fear holds so many people back from living their full potential. What insights does Murphy offer in this area?
Murphy, he approaches fear in this fascinating way. He doesn't tell us to ignore it or pretend it doesn't exist.
Okay.
Instead, he encourages us to examine the root of those fears, which he believes are often based on negative thoughts and beliefs that we've internalized.
So instead of just trying to white-knuckle our way through fear, we need to understand where it's coming from.
Exactly. And once you understand the root of the fear, you can start to reprogram your subconscious mind with more positive, empowering beliefs.
He shares some amazing examples of this in the book, like the speaker who overcame stage fright, the medical student who conquered exam anxiety, and even a chaplain who escaped a jungle by focusing on his desire for safety.
Those stories really highlight the power of shifting your focus. Instead of dwelling on what you're afraid of, you consciously choose to concentrate on what you desire, confidence, success, safety.
It's like that old saying, energy flows where attention goes. If you're constantly feeding your fear, it's only going to grow stronger. But if you start feeding your desired outcome, that's what will begin to manifest in your life.
Exactly. And Murphy offers a practical technique for doing this, substituting fear with its opposite desire. So if you're afraid of failure, you would consciously choose to focus on the desire for success.
So it's not about pretending the fear doesn't exist, but rather about consciously replacing it with a more empowering emotion.
Now, shifting gears a bit, there's another powerful concept in Murphy's work that I think is particularly relevant in today's world: the power of forgiveness.
Okay.
He emphasizes the importance of forgiveness, not just for the sake of the person you're forgiving, but for your own mental and emotional well-being.
I think a lot of people struggle with forgiveness. It can feel like you're letting the other person off the hook, or that you're somehow condoning their actions.
That's a common misconception. Murphy explains that forgiveness isn't about the other person, it's about freeing yourself from the grip of negative emotions.
Oh, okay.
He uses this vivid analogy, emotional congestion getting snarled up in the subconscious. It's as if holding on to resentment and anger, it creates this blockage that prevents the free flow of positive energy.
So forgiveness is like a mental and emotional detox.
Exactly. He argues that forgiveness is really about aligning your thoughts with what he calls divine law. The principle of harmony and love. By choosing to forgive, you're essentially choosing to release the negativity and embrace a more positive, loving state of mind.
He even tells a story about a man who forgave his brother's killer and experienced a physical healing as a result.
Right.
It's a powerful testament to the transformative power of forgiveness, how it can impact not just our minds and emotions, but even our physical well-being.
Yeah, and he offers a simple but profound technique for forgiveness.
Okay.
It involves mentally releasing those who have hurt you and genuinely wishing them well.
It sounds almost too easy, but if it works, it's a powerful tool for personal transformation.
It's about shifting your perspective from one of blame and resentment to one of compassion and understanding. It's about recognizing that we all make mistakes, and that holding on to anger only perpetuates suffering.
Now, throughout these excerpts, one thing that really stands out to me is Murphy's emphasis on personal responsibility.
Right.
He doesn't offer quick fixes or magical solutions. He empowers us to take control of our own minds and create the reality we desire.
Absolutely. He's essentially saying that, we're not victims of circumstance, but rather creators of our own destiny.
It's both empowering and a little daunting, isn't it? It's exciting to think that we have the power to change our lives, but it also puts the onus on us to do the work.
It definitely requires conscious effort, consistent practice, and unwavering belief.
Right.
But the rewards, as Murphy demonstrates through countless examples, can be truly life-changing.
Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into Murphy's work, I want to circle back to this idea of the subconscious mind not distinguishing between what's real and what's imagined.
Right.
You mentioned earlier that it accepts whatever the conscious mind believes as true, whether it's based on actual experiences or simply vivid visualizations. But how does that work in practice? How can we convince our conscious mind of something that seems far-fetched or even impossible?
That's a great question. And it gets to the heart of how we can leverage the power of the subconscious mind for personal transformation. Murphy suggests several techniques, and one of the most powerful, as we've already discussed, is the use of affirmations.
So by repeatedly affirming a desired outcome, we're essentially planting that seed in the fertile ground of our subconscious mind.
Precisely. But there are other techniques as well. One that he emphasizes is the concept of acting as if.
Acting as if. What does that mean exactly?
Think back to the story of the pharmacist who manifested his dream pharmacy. He didn't just visualize it, he acted as if it were already a reality. He spoke about it as if it already existed. He even started making small changes in his life, like getting business cards printed, as if the pharmacy was already operational.
So it's about aligning your actions with your desired outcome, even before it has materialized in the physical world.
Exactly. It's about creating a sense of congruence between your inner world of thought and belief and your outer world of action and experience. This sends a powerful message to the subconscious mind that this outcome is not just a wish, it's an inevitability.
It's almost like tricking the subconscious mind into believing that what you want is already a done deal.
In a way, yes. And the more you act as if, the more convincing it becomes to the subconscious.
I love that. It feels very proactive and empowering. Like you're not just waiting for something to happen, you're taking concrete steps to make it happen.
And speaking of proactive steps, another technique Murphy suggests is visualization. We've touched on this briefly, but it's worth emphasizing the importance of engaging all your senses in the visualization process.
So instead of just seeing yourself achieving your goal, you should also try to hear, smell, taste, and feel the experience as vividly as possible.
Exactly. The more real and immersive the visualization, the more powerful the impact on the subconscious mind.
Okay, so we've got affirmations, acting as if, and visualization. Are there any other techniques Murphy suggests for harnessing the power of the subconscious?
He also emphasizes the importance of paying attention to your dreams. He believes that dreams can offer valuable insights into the workings of the subconscious mind.
I've always found dreams to be fascinating. but I often wake up feeling confused about what they mean.
Dreams often speak to us in a symbolic language, so it's important to approach them with a sense of curiosity and openness. He suggests keeping a dream journal and looking for recurring themes or symbols.
Okay.
He believes these can offer clues about our subconscious beliefs and desires.
It's almost like the subconscious is trying to communicate with us through these dream messages.
Precisely. And the more we pay attention to these messages, the better we can understand our own inner landscape.
This is all so fascinating, but I have to admit, it can feel a little overwhelming at times. Like, how do we know if we're doing it right? How do we know if we're actually tapping into the power of the subconscious?
That's a great question. And I think the answer lies in paying attention to the subtle shifts that occur within you as you begin to apply these techniques.
What kind of shifts?
You might notice that your thoughts become more positive, more optimistic. You might feel more confident and empowered. You might even start to attract new opportunities and experiences into your life that align with your desired outcomes.
So it's not always about dramatic overnight changes. It can be more about these subtle shifts in energy and perception.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the most beautiful aspects of Murphy's work. It encourages us to become more mindful of our inner world, to tune into those subtle whispers of the subconscious, and trust in its power to guide us towards our highest potential.
Speaking of trusting the subconscious, Murphy also talks about the importance of listening to our intuition. He believes that intuition is the voice of the subconscious mind, guiding us towards our highest good.
And he suggests that we can strengthen our intuition by practicing mindfulness, quieting the chatter of the conscious mind.
So it's about creating space for that inner voice to emerge.
Exactly. He believes that intuition often speaks to us through feelings, hunches, and gut instincts.
But sometimes those feelings can be hard to distinguish from fear or anxiety. How do we know if we're truly following our intuition or just getting caught up in our worries?
That's a valid point, and it's where discernment comes in. He suggests asking yourself, does this feeling align with my highest good? Does it feel expansive and empowering, or does it feel constricting and fear-based?
So if it feels good, it's probably intuition. If it feels bad, it's probably fear.
It's a simplification, but it can be a helpful starting point. And the more you practice listening to your intuition, the more easily you'll be able to distinguish its voice from the noise of your fears and doubts.
Now, as we delve deeper into Murphy's ideas, I'm curious about your perspective on one particular concept. This idea that thoughts are things.
Right.
It's a bold statement, and I'm wondering if there's any, scientific evidence to support it.
It's a fascinating question, and there's a growing body of research that suggests that our thoughts and beliefs can have a tangible impact on our reality.
Okay.
For example, studies have shown that positive thinking can boost our immune system, reduce stress levels, and even improve our physical health.
So it's not just about feeling good. It's about creating real, measurable changes in our bodies and our lives.
Exactly. And on the flip side, negative thoughts and beliefs can have the opposite effect, contributing to stress, anxiety, and even physical illness.
It's like the mind-body connection is a two-way street.
Right.
Our thoughts influence our physical well-being, and our physical state can also influence our thoughts.
Precisely. And this is where Murphy's work intersects with the field of neuroscience. Scientists are now discovering that the brain is incredibly plastic, meaning it can change and adapt throughout our lives.
So we're not stuck with the same thought patterns and beliefs forever. We have the power to rewire our brains for greater happiness, success, and fulfillment.
Exactly. By consciously choosing to focus on positive, constructive thoughts, we can actually change those neural pathways in our brains and create new, more empowering patterns of thinking and behavior.
It's like we're the architects of our own minds.
And that brings us back to Murphy's central message, the power of the subconscious mind. By understanding how the subconscious works, we can learn to harness its incredible power to create the life we desire.
It's about recognizing that we're not limited by our circumstances or our past experiences, but rather by the beliefs we hold in our minds.
And by choosing to embrace a more positive, empowering mindset, we can unlock our true potential and live a life of purpose, joy, and fulfillment.
As we've been discussing these ideas, one thing that keeps coming to mind is the potential for misuse. What if someone trying to use these techniques for manipulative or unethical purposes?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
Like any powerful tool, the techniques Murphy outlines can be misused.
Right.
He repeatedly emphasizes the importance of aligning your desires with ethical principles, acting for the greater good.
He specifically cautions against using these techniques to try to control or manipulate others. He believes that true power comes from within, and that trying to exert power over others ultimately backfires.
It's like trying to dam a river. You might be able to temporarily redirect the flow, but eventually that water is going to find a way to break free.
So it's about working with the natural flow of energy rather than trying to force it in a particular direction.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to approach these techniques with a sense of integrity and a desire to create positive change, both for yourself and for the world around you.
Now, before we move on to the final part of our deep dive, I want to touch on one more topic that Murphy explores: the idea of aging gracefully.
Yes.
It's something that many people dread, but Murphy, he offers this refreshingly optimistic perspective.
He challenges that traditional view of aging as an inevitable decline and instead highlights the potential for growth and fulfillment in later years.
He stresses the importance of staying open to new ideas, pursuing new interests, and contributing to society, regardless of age.
He shares inspiring examples of individuals who achieved great things in their later years. Like Herbert Hoover, Marcus Porcius Cato, Ernestine Schumann Heink.
These individuals defied societal expectations and proved that age is not a barrier to achievement. In fact, he argues that a youthful mindset, rather than diet and exercise, is key to staying young.
It's about embracing the journey of life with a spirit of curiosity and enthusiasm, recognizing that aging is not a loss, but a transformation.
It's about continuing to learn, grow, and contribute our unique gifts to the world.
Yeah, it's a paradigm shift, isn't it? Viewing aging as an opportunity for continued growth and expansion rather than just like a descent into decline.
It all comes back to that mindset piece. We've been talking about it throughout this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
Murphy argues that the real fountain of youth isn't some magical elixir. It's our own perception, the beliefs we choose to embrace.
So instead of focusing on what we might lose as we age, we should focus on the wisdom, the experience, the perspective we gain.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that each stage of life, it offers these unique opportunities for growth, for contribution, for fulfillment. As we've been exploring these excerpts from The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, it strikes me how relevant this book still is, even though it's written decades ago.
Right.
The principles Murphy outlines feel timeless and universally applicable.
It's a testament to the enduring power of the human mind and that untapped potential that lies within each of us. The principles of thought, belief, and subconscious programming, they remain as relevant today as they were when Murphy first wrote about them.
And what I appreciate about his approach is that it's not just theoretical. He provides practical techniques.
Right.
Anyone can use them to harness this power.
Absolutely. That's what makes it so empowering. It's not about blind faith or wishful thinking. It's about understanding the mechanics of the mind and taking concrete steps to create the life you desire.
Now, you've been diligently taking notes throughout this whole deep dive. What stood out to you the most? What insights resonated most deeply?
Honestly, it's hard to pick just one. But the concept of subjective embodiment, the idea that the subconscious doesn't distinguish between what's real and what's imagined, that one's particularly mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It really underscores the power of our thoughts and beliefs to shape our reality.
I agree. That one really stuck with me as well. It makes you realize the importance of being mindful of the thoughts we entertain, the stories we tell ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
We're literally programming our subconscious with every thought.
And that brings to mind another insight that resonated deeply, that cautionary tale about the man who jokingly told his son he would get sick, and the son subsequently fell ill. It's a stark reminder of the power of suggestion, especially when dealing with young minds.
Right. It highlights the responsibility we have to use our words consciously and constructively, both for our own well-being and for the well-being of others.
Overall, I think the most valuable takeaway for me is that reminder that we have far more control over our lives than we often realize. We're not victims of circumstance, but rather creators of our own destiny.
It's a message of empowerment, but it also comes with a healthy dose of responsibility.
Right.
It challenges us to examine our beliefs, take ownership of our thoughts, and consciously choose to create a life that's aligned with our deepest desires, our values.
And I think that's a beautiful message to leave our listener with today.
Absolutely. This deep dive has been incredibly insightful, and I have a feeling we've only just scratched the surface of what Murphy's work has to offer.
There's always more to explore.
Yeah.
In the realm of the subconscious mind, it's a vast, mysterious landscape with the potential to unlock incredible possibilities.
Now, as we conclude our exploration, I want to leave you, our listener, with the final thought-provoking question. If you could reprogram your subconscious mind with one powerful belief, what would it be?
What belief would serve as the foundation for the life you truly desire to create? What seed would you plant in your mental garden to blossom into a reality that reflects your highest potential?
Take some time to ponder this question, explore it, journal about it. Let it guide you as you embark on your own journey of self-discovery, transformation.
Remember, the power to create your reality, it lies within you. Tap into it, nurture it, and watch your world transform.
Until next time, happy exploring.
We hope you're leaving with fresh insights and a spark of inspiration. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and check back for more episodes as we dive into new worlds of thought, one book at a time. Until then, keep your mind set in stone and your curiosity open. This has been a Big L Riz Media podcast, where big ideas meet lasting impressions.